Well, hi, everybody. Today we want to talk about nutrition. That has to do with the food that we eat. How do we eat that food? What does it involve? And what can we learn about so that we can maybe eat a little bit better? Let's learn about food groups. These are the ways we can think about food so we eat a balanced diet of different types of food, not just the same thing over and over. Let's watch.
Our bodies need lots of energy to keep us going throughout the day. And do you know where we get that energy? That's right, from the food we eat. And all kinds of different people enjoy different kinds of food. But whether your favorite meal includes noodles or nectarines, tortillas or tofu, most types of food have some of what our bodies need to stay healthy. You might already know that we can put different kinds of food into different groups. We call these, you guessed it, food groups. But let's check out each group and see what kind of food belongs where. Let's start with the fruit group. You gotta love sweet, delicious fruit. This group includes things like apples and pears, oranges, and strawberries. Fresh fruit is the best for you, but fruit that's canned or frozen counts too. After all, many fruits are hard to find in the winter, and some fruits only grow in certain parts of the world. But don't forget about fruit that's been dried. Raisins are just dried grapes, and prunes are dried up plums. And even juice is part of the fruit group, but only if it's all fruit juice and doesn't have added sugar. Next comes the grain group. Grains are plants, like oats, wheat, and barley. If a food is made from one of these plants or any other grain plant, it belongs here. That means things made of flour, like bread and noodles, breakfast foods like oatmeal and cereal, and even rice are all part of this group. Next up, the vegetable group. I bet you already figured out what goes here. Vegetables come from plants too, but unlike grains, they're either the roots, stems, or leaves of certain plants that we can eat. Carrots, for example, are the sweet orange roots of the carrot plant. A head of lettuce is just a bunch of crunchy leaves, and asparagus is actually a stem of the tasty asparagus plant. There are so many kinds of veggies out there that we can actually split this group into smaller groups. For example, there are dark green veggies like spinach, and starchy vegetables like potatoes and sweet potatoes. Then there are red and orange veggies like beets and carrots, just to name a few. Now, what other foods can you think of? What about the stuff that's inside your sandwich? Meats, like chicken or hamburger, belong to the protein group, and so do fish, like tuna, and eggs, made any way you like. But not all members of this group come from animals. Other foods like beans, peanut butter, and tofu, which is made from soybeans, are full of protein, so they're also proud members of the protein group. And that leaves us with the last food group, dairy. If a food is made from cow milk or soy milk, it's in the dairy group. So this is where you find things like yogurt and all kinds of cheeses, as well as your usual glass of milk. And do you know what else fits in this group? Ice cream. But that reminds me, sweet treats like candy don't fit into any of our groups. That's because they're made of mostly sugar and don't have any of the things that our bodies need to stay healthy. So it's okay to enjoy these foods from time to time, but just not a lot of the time. Now, do you think you can put a
All right, so let's take a look at something that is designed to help us called My Plate. My Plate is a way to make those food groups that we just learned about make sense on our plate. If we look at this plate real close, we see that fruits and vegetables, like we just learned, take up half of our plate. Proteins, like meats and other things like tofu or peanut butter, things like that, take up a small part of our plate, and grains like bread, pasta, that takes up another part of our plate. Dairy is on the side because a lot of times milk, cheese, and things like that are taken off of the plate into a cup or something. So let's take a quick look at this video that describes My Plate.
Sometimes it's hard to know what to eat to be healthy. My Plate is a simple guide to help us out. Notice the 5 food groups: fruits, vegetables, proteins, grains, and dairy. Our plate at home should look similar to the My Plate guide. Notice how half the plate is full of fruits and vegetables. A smaller portion contains protein, like lean meat or fish. There's also grains, like whole grain bread or pasta, and dairy, like milk, yogurt, or cheese. Follow the My Plate guide.
All right, so let's see if you're ready to identify some foods and their groups. Here's what I'm going to do. Since we're looking at this by ourselves and not in a classroom, we're going to identify what this food is and what food group up here in the top left it would belong in. So let's do one together. I would say that that meat is ham. That's right. And I would say that since ham is a meat, it probably falls in the protein category. That's right as well. Now, I'm going to give you about 2 seconds to identify each food and then 2 more seconds to see if you can name what food group it belongs to. I'll click through the slide presentation and you can see if you can keep up. Some of the foods may be foods that you've never seen before, but you can learn what they are. Let's do this together. Are you ready? Oh, I thought I'd end with a trick question. We haven't talked about water yet. Water is not in a food group, but we need to drink plenty of water each day, definitely in place of those sugary drinks like sodas or juices. We want to think about drinking water throughout the day to help keep our body hydrated and workable. Thanks a lot for playing. I hope you learned a lot. And don't forget, eat healthy. It makes us feel healthy. I'll see you next time.